guys, how's it going? I go by AlphaMind on the interwebs. That may or may not be what is reflected on my birth certificate. That's neither here nor there. I stumbled upon what I think is a pretty neat opportunity here, and so what I wanted to do, because it's been done for me so many times in the past, is put together a tutorial video for how to get involved with this project. If you've been in crypto mining for a little while, or even if you're a gamer or just a tech enthusiast, this is probably definitely for you. If I can wrap my head around getting this accomplished and online to kind of generate a little bit of side income, then you definitely can too. And I'm going to do my best to make a very simple walkthrough video that can be used by beginners. So this is meant to be a beginner-friendly tutorial video for how to get involved in a deep end project, which if you're in crypto, you notice that that's part of the narrative more recently, to leverage your GPU compute power to do AI training tasks as opposed to mining. Post ETH merge, and especially the last year, even though price action's been decent, I would say, for the industry as a whole, GPU mining has really not returned back to any semblance of stable profitability. Right, like we've had little flashes in the pan. I think the first weekend Carlson came out, like I made a little bit of extra money there. That was cool. But getting lucky with spec mining is fun and interesting. However, not necessarily stable. And I noticed over the last 30 days or so, a lot of I watch plenty of the YouTube content that comes out, some really good stuff. I learned so much. Definitely am grateful for all the content that gets produced, some good, some bad, whatever, do your own research. However, if you're in the GPU mining space in particular, you are likely aware of Salad. And I actually thought this was pretty neat. Salad's been around for a while and is not is not targeting a crypto audience, but more so gamers, I think. And so what I did was put a 4090 on there. So it's July 22nd as I'm recording this video. And so I really had it like up and running around here. And it was doing close to like, $5 to $6 a day. And barely using any power. At some point, it was mostly idling and using like literally 80 to 120 watts. At my house, not my mining site, at my house, I have a 10-cent kilowatt hour rate, and so it was costing me like 20 to 30 cents a day and doing like $5-6. I was like, oh wow, I wonder how long this is gonna last. And it was idling like that for about a week, and then Salad pushed an update. And it just kind of completely fell off, and there really hasn't been any other jobs since then. And so in the background, I've been also just exploring more opportunities for higher VRAM cards to do AI work, because I just think it's a really interesting concept. And so you can see here a 4090 with a Threadripper, or a 4090 with a Ryzen 9 7900, one of these servers. On the project I want to introduce you guys to, is doing a good bit more than that. It looks like definitely worth experimenting. This server did 36 Golem today, which is the equivalent of $11. And my system is idling at 100 watts, so which is that like 20-cent range. So we're doing $11-12 for 20-30 cents a day, and that's an interesting margin there. I took a look at a couple of the other servers before deciding to put hardware here. In a 7-day span, this server did 343 Golem, which is $113, so similar margin there. And that was the Ryzen 9. I actually put a Ryzen 7 5800X on here, so we'll see. This is a Ryzen Threadripper with a 4090 again. And look at the 30 days, look at the 90 days. In a 30-day span here, did $650. So I don't know exactly how much power is getting consumed when doing jobs. And so this is idle. So at least for this time period. So definitely worth exploring here, in my opinion. And I actually got my hands on a second 4090, and I'm gonna put a link to the video. I'll put a link in the description of this video. I found a great resource that if you're interested in, and if you were a miner formerly, and if you have like cards that are in good shape, and you would sell used, you can actually trade some of your GPUs in for newer models. And the store, I'll show you right now. The gentleman goes by Max Blumetti, I think. His website is mbpc.gg. He just got the website up. Awesome guy, and he accepts trade-ins. And what I actually did was trade in my older GPUs for 4090s, which was pretty fantastic. So I took some 3070 Ti's I had kicking around from the ETH days. They've been taken care of well, and I wanted to trade them in for something with more VRAM, because as we move into this kind of era of like AI clusters and GPU compute being more in demand for AI machine learning and model training, I suppose, than as opposed to crypto mining. I think that's where the profitability is right now. And so, feel free to poke around on his site. You can even tell him I sent you. He's got some cool stuff, and you can trade in older GPUs for new ones or just buy them outright. Really great guy to work with. I would highly recommend. I actually have a little bit of store credit right now, and I think I'm going to. I'm deciding between if I'm going to get another 4090. What I want to dive into now is this project called Golem, which is positioned as a DPIN project, but has launched, I think, some new components of their project. And I have to say, the community seems really welcoming and awesome. I'm definitely a beginner. The project itself does not seem to be new. I strongly encourage you to jump into their Discord. The website is golem.network. You can. Oh, actually, it's right here. I strongly encourage you to read up on them, do a little bit of learning, go into their docs. I've started. I'm going to do a tutorial about how to get a GPU-Live provider up and running. I just got mine up yesterday. Yeah, so I thought this was a really neat project. Definitely piqued my interest. If you have the compute, I think it definitely warrants a pass. I strongly encourage you to poke around on their website. Take a look at the white paper here. I jumped into their Discord. And even in the time I've been there, just kind of learning and experimenting my way through getting this GPU Live provider set up, which I'm going to walk you through right now. They launched a model serve AI program, and you can read more. Just honestly, I think if you're in the space, you're probably pretty accustomed how to do this. But I would say jump in the Discord, poke around on the website, look at their docs. See for yourself. And if you think that this is something that you're interested in, maybe throwing one of your higher VRAM cards on to experiment with, to me it's like a coming together of two things that I think are pretty awesome, which is the crypto space's decentralization and ability to kind of use a distributed network, right? So it's a bunch of different people with AI compute that is getting rented by those who need it, as opposed to like one big centralized building or business that's controlled by like one wealthy entity, having a whole bunch of A100s like in-house at their warehouse. So I personally am a huge fan of this type of stuff, and this seems very new. Not the project itself, but I think these two elements of the project. Check out this pinned message, and just poke around and see for yourself. And so let's dive into it, and I'm going to show you how to get this up and running. Alright, so I'm over here in the developer docs, the Golem developer docs for how to set up a GPU provider. These are the installation instructions for gpu-golem-live. GPU resources will contribute to perform artificial intelligence tasks and more. As part of your participation in the network, you will receive GLM tokens as compensation for the computing services you provide. Currently, I think trading around 34 cents. Cool. Now, this is important. These are hardware prerequisites, and I can't stress this enough. You need a computer, motherboard, and CPU with input-output memory management unit virtualization. So you've probably had to turn on CPU virtualization if you've been doing any of these like AI container type platforms where people are running software in Docker or in a container on your setup, and so you actually have to go into the BIOS, and if you're using an AMD CPU, you go into the SVM setting, I believe it is. SVM for AMD, and I actually haven't done this on any boards with Intel CPUs yet. Anyway, so this is super important. This was this is a deal breaker. You need to. I'll show you exactly how to do this and how I did it on my motherboard's BIOS on a ASRock Phantom B550 chipset. And this was like a deal breaker. I lost like half a day because I like hadn't figured this out properly. I was actually trying to like patch the Linux kernel with an access control system version, but I didn't need to do any of that. I just had to get the settings right in my BIOS. So I will show you exactly how I got it done on my motherboard, but I can't stress this enough. You will need to enable certain things in your motherboard BIOS for this to work properly. So before you continue on, just make sure you read through the hardware requirements and that your specs of whatever build you're putting together for this or already have meet these hardware requirements. And we're going to go through the rest together. I'll show you how to get this all set up. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is actually download and burn the Golem GPU-Live image. And so in order to do this, you're going to need a couple things. First, you're going to need to download and install Balena Etcher on whatever system you're using. If you're using Windows, you just can Google search for Balena Etcher and go to etcher.balena.io and download the Windows version you need from there. If you are on a Linux system, I'm going to walk you through how to do that right now. I'm on Ubuntu 22.04. You're going to then, after we get Balena Etcher installed, need to download the image, the Golem GPU-Live image, and you're also going to need to have plugged into your system that you're doing this on the solid state drive that you want to burn this to. I think in the dock somewhere it says you can use a USB. I am flashing it to a SATA SSD. I did it on my own yesterday to a 500 gig. I'm going to do it right now in this tutorial with you guys on a 128 gig SATA SSD. So I'll have a link in the video show notes to this Google Doc where these links will live. And what you're going to want to do if you're on Ubuntu 22.4 to install Balena Etcher is hop on over to their GitHub here. And I used this version, and I'm doing this with the .deb file. So I downloaded that, and I made sure to change directory to my downloads folder where this file is. From there, it's pretty simple. You're just going to run, after making sure in the directory, you're just going to run this dpkg command. If you use HiveOS, you've probably seen this before when changing HiveOS images. You're going to do sudo dpkg -i and then the name of the .deb file, and you're going to run that. I already installed Balena Etcher, so I'm not actually going to run this right now, but then once you're done with that, you can type it in or copy and paste from my Google Doc here and resolve any missing dependencies like so. Again, I had already done that before. Here in the notes is the link to the SATA USB cable that I used to plug in and burn SSDs quickly, so it's just easy and convenient. Comes in. So once you have Balena Etcher installed on your Ubuntu 22.04 system or Windows 11 or 10 or whatever you're in, the next thing you're going to need is to actually download the GPU-golem-live provider image. And so to do that, you can just click on this link here if you're in Windows and download the tar image. If you're in the command line like me in Ubuntu, you can just copy and paste this command and it'll download. I lied. You can just copy and paste this command and it'll download. And it goes pretty fast, just takes like a minute or two. It is a, I believe, 2 gig file, and then once you unzip it, it ends up being 8.6. And so we will let that download. And then once that's finished, you're gonna want to unzip it. And so again, not too complicated. This is the command, so xz-d, and then the file name there, and you will unzip the image. It's gonna take a second. And then you will see in the direct zip, there you go, you can see it's 8.6 gigs from that original zipped 2 gigs. And then it's time to flash the image to our solid state drive that we have plugged in with Balena Etcher. And so we will do that now. This process is pretty easy. And so essentially you're just going to grab the file that you just unzipped and burn it to the solid state drive that you have plugged in. This is the 128 gig that I'm using for this. It's going to throw a little warning like, are you sure you want to do that? And you're just going to be like, yeah, I'm sure, Bleener. Calm down. You might need to type in your password like so. And then just let it burn the Golem GPU-Live image to... You're about to go on to the next step, which is to boot to the Golem GPU-Live image that we just created. So we just burned the image, the SSD, we walked through all that together. This next step, it is crucial that you have your BIOS set up properly to do this. And huge shout out to, I don't know how to say this, Mag Norbert from Discord over here. I definitely got wrecked trying to do this on my own. And like I said, I was actually trying to literally patch the Linux kernel because I just didn't have the BIOS set up properly. And with this gentleman's help, or woman, I'm not sure, whoever this person is, I was able to get my BIOS set up. So I'm going to show you exactly how mine are set up. But there's a couple things that you need to have done in order to be able to isolate your GPU properly so that it can essentially do virtualization in a safe way. And so the things we're going to be looking for in the BIOS are this input-output memory management unit. And once you enable that, it'll give you the option to do this ACS, which is Access Control System, I believe. And then you will see exactly what this looks like in my BIOS. I'm going to hop out of the screen share and I'm going to show you on camera exactly how to go in the BIOS and do this. And then we will boot. So now you can just type reboot into your terminal. And we're going to boot up into the BIOS. Should be delete, escape, F2. Now, the first order of business is going to be enabling CPU virtualization. This is the second time I'm doing this now. I'm on a Aorus B550 Master. The other setup I did this on was a ASRock B550 gaming. So you're going to come in fine. It's probably going to look a little different depending on exactly what motherboard you're using. But generally speaking, enabling the CPU virtualization, you find the advanced CPU settings. If you're on AMD, it looks a little different for Intel. This is for AMD. And you're going to want to make sure SVM mode is enabled. And that'll give you your CPU virtualization. You already needed this if you were doing, something else like Salad or Flux Core. Now we need to find the IOMMU and enable that. So in these BIOS, I'm going to come over to settings. I believe it's in AMD CBS. It's actually, I had already, I think, set this up. I think it's under NBIO. Yeah, NBIO settings there. I'll show you that again. So NBIO common options, then input output memory management unit. You're going to want to set that to enabled. Then if this isn't already showing, ACS on my other BIOS wasn't even showing until I had enabled something else. And I'm pretty sure it was this. And then you're going to want to make sure that ACS, which is Access Control System, I believe, is also enabled. These were not enabled, but I did go ahead and enable the DMA and DMAR support and protection. And then the other thing is a AER option. The only thing I see that is the AER, which was mentioned by Mag Norbert in the Discord, is this enable AER cap, but I'm not exactly 100% sure what that is. So I'm going to proceed with the setup like this. I didn't do that on my other motherboard. I just made sure that I had the ACS, the IOMMU, and the SVM mode enabled, and it did work on that motherboard. So let's go ahead and move forward and try this, which I'm honestly not 100% sure about, but I have the ACS enabled, I have the IOMMU enabled, and then I also have my AMD SVM enabled in the advanced CPU settings. And so I believe I have SVM mode enabled, which will do CPU virtualization. So I believe that covers everything. So let's go ahead and move to the next step. So you're going to want to F10 will let you save your BIOS and exit and restart. Okay, so you're going to boot up to your SSD, and you should be greeted with the Golem GPU-Live wizard. And you can just go ahead and do enter on that first option there, unless you want to use the command line, but I think it's easier to just use the wizard. And it should load up here in a second. And there you go. Okay, so we're gonna hit enter. Then again, yes, we're gonna hit enter. We read and understood this disclaimer. Now, if you have another hard drive you want to use as persistent storage, you can go ahead and do that, or the hard drive that you installed gpu-golem-live on is already set up for that. And so that's what I am going to do, is that option, and you're going to hit enter there. This this randomly generated password you're going to need, so make sure you write this down. I actually just take a picture of it with my phone. I mean, I don't care if you guys see it now because I'm not going to actually be using the system. But when you get to this part and you see, hopefully you can read that. Yeah, Golem user has generated a random password here. And so I actually just grab my phone and make sure I get a picture of that. Okay, and then we're going to move on to the next step. And that's your IP address. You're going to need that for SSHing into your rig here, and also for opening port 11,500. So you can snap a picture of that as well with your phone, or write it down. However you want to keep track is fine. Now, this part, you're going to enter in your Ethereum address. I just use my ETH MetaMask address, and so I'm going to just go ahead and type that in now. Yeah, so you got to type it in, I think. That's what I had to do. It's pretty painful, but I'm going to, we'll pick up as soon as I get that typed in. All right, I got my ETH address typed in here, so we're going to enter. This is where you're going to want to price your Golem per hour. Remember, Golem was trading around 34 cents. On my 4090, I did, I think, 0.85 Golem per hour. I gotta double check and make sure that that's like that was just what I saw other 4090s. I have a 4090 with a Ryzen 5700X on there, and that seemed to be like in that ballpark. So that's just kind of what I went with. I also got 48 gigs of RAM too. So this is what I set on that machine. I'll show you how to look at what other people have their set at, so you know if you're in the right range there. And boom, you hit enter. Now all the settings in the BIOS, if you haven't done them properly, you will get an error right here, which is what kept happening to me until I got help from Mag Norbert, the great legendary Mag Norbert saved me and showed me told me what settings I needed to have enabled, which I showed you earlier. So just again, make sure that if you get the error here that it's not separating, and like you see your audio driver coming up on the PCI bus of where your video card is plugged in, go back to those BIOS settings or jump into the Discord and ask for help, or get in touch with me and I'll see if I can help you. And then that's it. You're gonna hit OK and select your GPU. And it'll tell you here that your screen might turn off or freeze, and then your provider is going to be visible on the network, and you can SSH into it, or I will show you, next I'll pop back into the computer and show you what it looks like on the other end. All right, so once you hit enter here on this OK, it should flash this portion of the terminal, and then the screen goes black, and you can check your stats on the stat page or SSH into your rig. There is, however, still one thing left for us to do, and that is to make sure that our port 11,500 is open for our IP address. And so if you're in Ubuntu, you can just type in hostname-i, get your local IP, log into your router, and port forward 11,500. If you're in Windows, just type in ipconfig and get your local IP, and then you should be good to go there. After that, and your port is forwarded, you can jump on over to the stats page here, and search either. I was actually just searching with my Ethereum address. That works. Or you can use, I have a 4090 on here. There's not too many of them on here, so you can search by hardware, which is what I'm going to do now. Yeah, you can see there's 9, and so there is my system right here. Now, mine hasn't completed its reputation score. It says the reputation measurement is only available on providers whose pricing aligns with market standards, considering a margin of up to 20% above these rates. This is a protection mechanism to avoid malicious providers from gaming the system. So I don't know if the reason my reputation score hasn't populated yet after over 24 hours is just because my pricing's too high. But, I mean, when I look at other similar setups, like this is a 4090 with the Ryzen 9, and their price is higher than mine, and their reputation score is complete, so I'm not exactly sure. I did message in the Discord, so I'm going to see what is said. So, this can just give you an idea of what is being made by these similar types of systems. So why don't we go ahead and just, we'll just click into one here and see. So this did 53 GLM today. So I guess, depending on your kilowatt hours, or so $17 today, and I guess it just depends how much electricity you're using. I've been watching mine actually, and it hasn't really been over 100, but I also haven't gotten any jobs, so I don't know exactly how this works in regards to power draw just yet, because I just got it on there and it hasn't even completed their reputation score yet. Alright, so there you go, guys. Hopefully you're able to follow that and get your Golem GPU-Live server set up. Just looking at this person here, they got an AMD Ryzen 9 7900X at a 4090 doing 888 Golem in the last 30 days, which comes out to like just under $300. And so depending on your power draw and electric rate, that could be some pretty decent profitability. So definitely piqued my interest. I'm liking getting involved with these new AI rental compute projects that are crypto based and DeepIn based, which Golem is, and so I think it's really interesting. Like I said, I have a lot more to learn here. So hopefully this was helpful for you, and if you have any questions, reach out, and hopefully I'll be able to give you a hand. Thanks.